Hello, people of Ireland. We are pupils from Our Lady of Lourdes National School in Dublin. We are part of the Inchicore Children's Broadcasting.
We are your hosts, Oscar and Casper.
This program is called Inchicore Eco Squad, and it's about our local environment.
Today we are here with Dean, who is an ecologist. We are going to take a walk along the canal beside our school to find out what it means to be an ecologist and learn about the nature in the city and why it matters.
Dean, let's go and walk and talk around the canal. Dean, what is an ecologist and why did you become one?
An ecologist is someone who studies the relationship between the environment and wildlife. That could be the flow of energy and matter through an ecosystem, and ecosystems vary around the world. But essentially I study where wildlife is and what impacts are on the wildlife, both from humans and from its natural environment.
What animals might live along the canal and what do they eat?
There's loads of animals that can live along the canal. There's a swan right beside us, paddling down the canal. So other birds, water birds like ducks, swans, moorhens, and then they feed on some of the aquatic plant life that's in the river. Things like duckweed, which ducks usually eat, if you can figure that one out. But there's other vegetation that lives along the canal as well. And then there's loads of invertebrates, you know what invertebrates are, like insects and snails and stuff that live actually in the water, and some of the other birds will eat them as well. And then in terms of mammals, you might find an otter if you're really lucky, though maybe this far into the city you might not see an otter, but they're more brave than you might think. So there's loads of different types of animals that live along rivers that depend on rivers and canals, and that's why we need to make sure that they're free from pollution and litter and all of that stuff.
What is your favourite tree and why?
My favourite tree is actually just across from us. It's a yew tree, and people generally planted yew trees in graveyards because they're associated with death and resurrection. And back in, a very long time ago, just centuries ago, people used arrows made from yew wood because there's poison, there's toxins in the wood of yew, and the entire yew tree is actually toxic, so don't eat it. But the arrows were used as obviously a form of weapon. And they're also the longest living tree in Europe. So there are specimens over in Britain that are 5,000 years old, a single individual tree. So that's my favourite tree, and there's plenty of them in the graveyard across from us.
What is your favourite animal and why?
My favourite animal is a type of animal called a hoverfly, and it's a type of fly, as you can imagine, that hovers. And it is a really important pollinator along with butterflies and bees. And the hoverflies have this really special technique called mimicry, where they essentially mime or mimic other species, particularly wasps and bees. And so they're usually yellow and black. And that makes predators think that they can sting, but they can't sting, they're completely harmless. And you will find them along places like here in the summertime when there's flowers. They've gone into kind of a hibernation over winter at the moment, but they would be my favourite animal.
Dean, why should we care about nature?
Well, everything that we depend on, from the clothes on your back, to the water you drink, to the car you get in, to the bus you get in, everything is depending on nature. It all comes from the natural world. And if we are not in balance with that natural world and we're extracting resources unsustainably, then it leads to the situation that we're in at the moment. It also, caring about nature kind of combats climate change, which I'm sure you've all heard of. It's a source of inspiration for artists and musicians and writers all across the world. All the world cultures depend on nature as inspiration. So if it's not for anything else, at least have it for inspiration, I think.
Thanks to Dean for meeting with us, and thanks for everyone for listening to our show today.
What can we do to help save the environment? That's the question we all have to ask.